How would Ireland actually militarize? How would the white Irish people direct more of its money to weapons, jets, tanks, missiles, and expanding its military? Is Ireland getting more jets or increasing its military in the next years? Ireland is already ramping up its defense spending and modernizing its forces through record budgets and multi-year plans, though it remains committed to military neutrality and spends far below most EU peers as a share of GDP. No fighter jets or main battle tanks are currently being procured or delivered. New transport planes, helicopters, radar, and lighter armored vehicles are the focus instead. Further militarization, more jets, tanks, missiles, or rapid expansion would require government decisions on budgets and policy, but any big shift would need parliamentary and public support, given Ireland's long-standing neutrality stance. Current spending is rising quickly. The 2026 defence budget hits a record €1.5 billion, up 11% from 2025 and 35% since 2022, with €300 million in capital funding, the highest ever. A new 5-year national development plan adds €1.7 billion in capital investment through 2030, up 55% from prior plans. This funds personnel growth, target 11,500 total by 2028, infrastructure and equipment to close gaps in radar, maritime surveillance, and airlift. Equipment plans center on practical upgrades, not heavy combat systems. Recent and upcoming additions include a new Falcon 6X strategic jet, delivered 22,500 transports, 4 H-1, 4 5M light helicopters, arriving 2027-2028, and more medium-lift helicopters. A primary military radar rolls out from 2026, full by 2028, with counter-drone systems accelerating for 2026. The Navy gets sonar and sun buoys. The Army upgrades its Piranha armored vehicles and plans to replace the fleet with approximately 100 newer vehicles. No confirmed fighter jets, tanks, or advanced missiles yet. Earlier 2025 discussions explored 8 to 14 combat jets, but official 2026 plans do not include them. Hypothetically, directing more funds to weapons or expansion would follow Ireland's standard democratic process. The Department of Defence proposes needs and annual budget estimates and multi-year plans. The government approves, and the Dáil votes. Major buys, jets, missiles, tanks, go through competitive tenders, often European for interoperability. To accelerate, policymakers could raise the level of ambition beyond current targets, allocate more GDP share, or amend legislation, though neutrality concerns, recruitment challenges, and competing priorities, housing, health, make rapid change complex and debated. Ireland's defence policy is evolving amid geopolitical pressures, including Russia's actions in Ukraine and concerns over subsea cables and hybrid threats in the North Atlantic, but it continues to prioritize military neutrality, non-membership in alliances like NATO, and no mutual defence pacts. The government has responded with the largest spending increases in state history, while staying within a framework of enhanced national and international capabilities, primarily peacekeeping. Official documents emphasize closing long-standing gaps rather than building an offensive force. Spending remains modest by European standards, around 0.24% of GDP in recent years, the EU's lowest. But absolute figures are climbing. The 2026 budget reached €1.5 billion total. Current spending €873 million plus record €300 million capital. This represents an 11% rise on 2025 and a 35% increase since 2022. The Defence Sectorial National Development Plan 2026-2030 commits €1.7 billion in capital over 5 years, an extra €600 million, 55% on the previous baseline, with annual capital rising from €300 million in 2026 to €360 million by 22,930. Of this, €400 million targets infrastructure, barracks, hangars, naval berths. €175 million covers IT, transport, engineering, and ordnance. And €19 million fast-tracks counter-unmanned aerial systems, counter-UAS, ahead of Ireland's 2026 EU Council presidency. These funds align with level of ambition 2 from the 2022 Commission on the Defence Forces report, and support a February 2026 strategic framework and updated detailed implementation plan. That framework sets 5 strategic objectives for the next phase of transformation. 1. Strategic HR and cultural change. 2. New command and control and joint structures. 3. Service reform and restructuring, including regenerating the Naval Service and Air Corps. 4. Revitalizing the Reserve Defence Force, adding an air reserve for the first time, targeting at least 200 personnel. And 5. Implementing joint capability development out to 2040. As of late 2025, 54 of 130 Commission recommendations were complete. Priority actions for the coming year include boosting recruitment/retention, net plus 400 permanent personnel funded in 2026 alone, improving equipment and working environments, legislative reform, and digital transformation. The overall goal is a more agile force capable of defending sovereignty, protecting citizens, and meeting overseas commitments without abandoning neutrality. On the equipment front, modernization is deliberate and domain-specific. The Air Corps, soon to be renamed Air Force in some planning contexts, has received concrete deliveries and orders focused on transport, utility, and surveillance rather than combat. Dassault Falcon 6X strategic reach aircraft, delivered December 2025, for VIP/government transport, long-range medical evacuation, and overseas missions. Third Airbus C-295, transport configuration delivered October 2025, completing a 3-aircraft maritime patrol and logistics fleet. 4 Airbus H145M light utility helicopters, ordered 2004, 3 by end 2027, 1 in early 2008, for special operations, air ambulance, and utility roles. 2 additional medium-lift helicopters by 2028, with a longer-term program for 8 super-medium helicopters post-2028. Primary radar/recognized air picture. Program, preliminary business case approved, phased rollout from 2026, full delivery by 2028, for comprehensive airspace monitoring. Counter-UAS capabilities rolling out by 2026 to protect critical infrastructure. Future remotely piloted aircraft systems, RPAS/drones, enhancements post-2028. No fighter jets appear in the current official plans or 2026 implementation documents, despite 2025 exploratory work by officials requesting costings for 14 aircraft, potential 2.5 billion euros total over 20 to 25 years, to enable independent interception and reduce reliance on UK support. Analysts describe a squadron of 8 to 12 as a significant likelihood for the future Air Force, but no contract or procurement timeline has been announced. The Navy gains towed array sonar, sonobuoys, and P-60 fleet extensions for subsea awareness. The Army continues a midlife upgrade of its 80 MOWAG Piranha 3 armored personnel carriers, completed end 2025, and advances the Armored Fleet Replacement Project, added 100 vehicles, estimated €600, 800 million, French KNDS Scorpion family, Griffon, Jaguar, Serval, seen as leading contender. No main battle tanks are planned. Ireland has never operated them, and focuses on lighter protected mobility. Ground-based air defense and missile systems remain at early stages. Counter-drone focus, with software-defined radios and force protection equipment also funded. Personnel growth remains challenging despite pay and condition improvements. Current strength is below establishment, and reserves are being expanded, Army, Naval, and new air components. The new Maritime Security Strategy, February 2026, adds cooperation with NATO neighbors for hybrid threats without altering neutrality. Legislative changes to the Triple Lock, UN authorization for overseas deployments, have been proposed and scrutinized but do not signal abandonment of the policy. Hypothetically, deeper militarization, massive spending on fighter jets, main battle tanks, advanced missiles, or rapid force expansion would follow established Irish governance routes. The Department of Defense, guided by a capability development program running to 2040, identifies requirements. These feed into annual estimates in the budget process. The Minister brings proposals to Cabinet, which approves the overall package. The Dial then votes on the allocation. Multi-year capital plans, like the current NDP, provide stability and are updated via government reviews. For big-ticket items, e.g. a jet squadron or tank fleet, a formal procurement strategy is developed, followed by competitive tendering through the Office of Government Procurement and EU-compliant processes, often favoring European suppliers for interoperability in UN-EU missions. Major projects require explicit government and parliamentary oversight. Costs would be spread over decades, as with the hypothetical €2.5 billion jet program. To free up more money, the government could raise defense's GDP share, currently the lowest in Europe, shift from level of ambition 2 to the more ambitious level 3, previously considered but not adopted due to neutrality concerns and fiscal priorities, or reallocate from other departments. Expanding personnel would involve legislative changes to structures, pay scales, and reserve terms, plus sustained recruitment campaigns. Infrastructure, new bases, hangars, would be funded via the NDP route. Challenges and debates are real. Critics argue the current pace is insufficient, given threats, e.g., drone incursions, subsea cable risks, and the plans remain only partially funded, relative to full Commission recommendations. Public and political attachment to neutrality remains strong. Sinn Féin and independents have voiced opposition to any perceived drift toward EU militarization or NATO-style spending. Recruitment and retention crises persist despite recent boosts. Any acceleration toward heavy weapons or offensive capabilities would likely trigger dire debates, public consultation, and potential referendums on policy shifts. Ireland's island geography and focus on maritime/air surveillance over land warfare also shape priorities. Tanks or large missile arsenals are less likely than radar, drones, sonar, and agile airlift. In short, while the trajectory is clearly upward, further militarization would be incremental, transparent, and constrained by democratic processes and Ireland's long-standing policy of military neutrality. Ireland's defence forces are already expanding under a €1.7 billion capital plan, 22,230, and have selected French KNDS Scorpion family vehicles, Serval Griffon, Jaguar, plus CASR artillery in an approximately €1 billion deal. These are capable but not the absolute lowest cost options. Most budget-friendly yet effective choices prioritize NATO/EU compatible 5.56mm small arms, wheeled platforms for existing logistics, and proven low unit cost missiles already used by European neutrals or NATO allies. Firearms: expand the existing Steyr AUG or add Polish FB Beryl, both reliable, approximately €1,500, €2,500 per rifle in volume. Missiles: NLAW anti-tank, approximately $33,000, $40,000 per round, and Polish Pioran and Manpads, cheaper than Stinger with proven combat record. Tanks: surplus Leopard 1, approximately €265,000, $550,000 refurbished if any heavy option is wanted. Otherwise, the planned Jaguar 6x6, approximately €6 million, already fills the light tank/recon role affordably. Armored vehicles: Turkish Otokar Armor 8x8 or Polish Rosomak, approximately $2 to $4 million per unit, offer strong value versus the French package while matching protection and mobility needs. Firearms: Ireland's standard issue is the Austrian Steyr AUG, 5.56mm bullpup. It is already in inventory, highly reliable in peacekeeping missions, and straightforward to support. Bulk military orders keep costs low. For even greater affordability, while staying 5.56mm NATO compatible, the Polish FB Beryl, or its modernized variants, is an excellent runner-up, used by the Polish army, rugged, and produced at scale. Both outperform older AK platforms in accuracy and ergonomics, without the political or logistical issues of non-NATO calibers. Missiles: Ireland recently acquired Javelin ATGMs, export approximately $217,000, $240,000 per missile. For expansion on a tighter budget, the Swedish/UK NLAR is dramatically cheaper, approximately $33,000, $40,000. Lightweight and effective against modern tanks at shorter ranges via top attack. It is already in widespread European service. For air defense, the Polish Pioran MA-PADS is cheaper than the US Stinger, while combat-proven in Ukraine and exported to NATO partners such as Norway, unit costs are significantly below Stinger's $100,000 plus range. Tanks and heavy armor: Ireland operates no main battle tanks, and its doctrine favors wheeled mobility. The planned KNDS Jaguar 6x6 reconnaissance/combat vehicle, 40mm cannon plus missiles, approximately €6 million, already provides tank-like firepower at far lower cost and logistics burden than a tracked MBT. If any surplus heavy option is considered for deterrence, refurbished Leopard 1S from European stocks have sold as low as €265,000, $550,000, deactivated or upgraded. These are outdated for peer conflict, but viable for training or second-line roles, and far cheaper than new Leopard 2 or Abrams. Armored cars and vehicles: the French Serval/Griffon, are solid, but the Turkish Otokar Armor 8x8 and Polish Rosomak, Patria AMV license, consistently appear in export contracts at $2, $4 million per unit, often 50% below comparable Western European prices, while offering Stanage 4569 Level 4 protection, modular turrets, and excellent off-road performance. Both are wheeled, easing integration with Ireland's upgraded Piranha 3 fleet. Surplus US MRAPs, or JLTVs, provide even lower entry costs for light protected roles. Ireland's defence forces are undergoing the largest modernisation in decades, driven by a record €1.5 billion annual defence budget in 2000 and €1.7 billion capital allocation through 2030. The centrepiece is the Armoured Fleet Replacement Project, valued at €600, 800 million initially, now reportedly exceeding €1 billion, which will replace 80 MOAG Piranha 3H, APCs, and 27 RG. 3 2 light tactical vehicles with hundreds of French KNDS Scorpion family platforms. The 4x4 Saval, light multi-role, 6x6 Griffon, troop carrier, and 6x6 Jaguar, armed reconnaissance with 40mm CTA cannon and MMP missiles. CASR 155mm self-propelled howitzers are also included. Deliveries are targeted before 2030, shifting the force toward digitally networked, protected mobility while maintaining neutrality and peacekeeping focus. Midlife upgrades to the existing Piranha fleet were completed in 2025. Small arms inventory centers on the Steyr August 5th. 56mm rifle, with recent Javelin ATGMs added for anti-armor capability. No main battle tanks are in service. Legacy Scorpion CVR-T light tanks were retired years ago. Against this backdrop, the most budget-friendly yet still highly capable expansion options balance 3 priorities. 1. Low unit and through-life cost. 2. Compatibility with existing 5.56mm logistics and wheeled doctrine. And 3. Proven performance from suppliers. Ireland can realistically engage as an EU neutral, France, Poland, Turkey, Sweden/UK, or US surplus. Below is a detailed survey of recommendations across the requested categories, drawing on export contracts, surplus pricing, and comparative procurement data. Firearms. The Steyr AUG remains the logical baseline. It is already issued to every soldier, uses standard 5.56x45mm NATO ammunition, and requires no retraining or new spare parts pipelines. Military bulk pricing is substantially below civilian retail, approximately €1,500, 2,500 equivalent in volume contract. For additional cost savings without sacrificing quality, the Polish FB Beryl 5.56mm variant stands out. Produced by Fabryka Broni Radom, it equips the Polish army, offers excellent ergonomics and reliability in harsh conditions, and has been exported widely. Civilian equivalents trade in the €1,500, 2,100 range. Military export pricing is lower. The Czech CZ Bren 2 is another strong contender, modular, accurate, and already adopted by several EU forces at comparable per-unit costs. All 3 are far more affordable and maintainable than premium Western options, such as the HK416 or SIG MCX, while delivering comparable or superior battlefield performance for Ireland's missions. Missiles. Anti-tank capability is already bolstered by Javelin. Unit cost approximately $217,000 for the latest G model. Export approximately $240,000. While excellent, fire and forget, top attack, it is expensive for mass procurement. The next-generation light anti-tank weapon, NLAW, from Saab/Bofors, offers a dramatically lower price point of approximately $33,000, $40,000 per round. It is man-portable, uses predicted line-of-sight guidance with overfly top attack, and has proven effective against Russian armor in Ukraine. Range is shorter, up to approximately 800 m, but the cost-per-kill ratio is vastly superior for defensive or ambush roles. Ireland could procure hundreds of NLAWs for the price of dozens of additional javelins. For short-range air defense, the Polish Pyrun MAN pads is the standout budget option. Successor to the Grom and combat-proven against drones and helicopters in Ukraine, it undercuts the US Stinger in unit cost. Polish contracts show significantly lower per-missile pricing than Stinger's $100,000, $480,000 range, while offering modern all-aspect seekers and greater resistance to countermeasures. Poland has exported PRN to Norway, Estonia, and others. Integration training is straightforward and spares are inexpensive. Pairing NLAW with PRN gives Ireland layered, high-volume defensive capability at a fraction of equivalent Western systems. Tanks. Ireland's doctrine has never emphasized heavy-tracked MBTs. The Jaguar EBRC already provides the closest equivalent, a 6x6 reconnaissance/combat vehicle with a 40mm telescoped cannon, MMT anti-tank missiles, and advanced sensors at approximately €6 million per unit, far cheaper than any new MBT, if a heavier tracked option is ever desired for deterrence or training. Surplus Leopard 1A variants from European stocks represent the lowest cost modern-ish tank. Recent sales and surplus listings show refurbished running examples at €265,000, €550,000, with historical bulk transfers even lower, e.g. €37,000, $500,000 per hull before refurbishment. While 1970s-era technology, Leopard 1S remain lethal against lighter threats and can be upgraded with modern fire control and armor kits. Tracked logistics would require new investment, so they are best viewed as a low-volume supplement rather than a fleet replacement. Armored cars and vehicles, the French Saval, light 4x4 multi-role, Griffon, 6x6 APC, and Jaguar, already selected by Ireland, are excellent protected mobility platforms. Serval averages approximately 1.2 million euros in some Scorpion family analyses, offering rapid strategic deployability for even lower acquisition costs while retaining comparable or superior value. Two European/Turkish options excel in export markets. Turkish Otokar Arma, 8x8, multiple export contracts. Bahrain, Kazakhstan, Estonia. African nations show per unit pricing around $2 million or less in larger packages, with Stanag 4569 Level 4 ballistic/mine protection, modular mission kits, and high mobility. Contracts have included 73 vehicles for approximately $74 million and larger packages in the low hundreds of millions. Polish Rosomak Patria AMV license. Polish Army unit costs have hovered approximately $2.30, 4 million depending on turret fit-out. Export pricing to Slovakia and others has been competitive, approximately 4 million euros in past bids. Poland continues license production through 2034 and has upgraded fleets with ZSSW 30 turrets and Spike missiles. Both are wheeled, amphibious capable in some variants, and share parts commonality with many EU forces. Czech Pandur II/Evo, produced locally in the Czech Republic, is another EU-sourced contender at approximately €4, 5.5 million, but generally higher than Arma/Rosomak, US surplus MRAPs, Max Pro, etc. Or JLTVs offer the absolute lowest entry point for light protected patrol roles. Via foreign military sales or excess defense articles programs, any of these alternatives would allow Ireland to field more vehicles per euro while maintaining interoperability and easing the burden on the €1.7 billion capital envelope. Life cycle and strategic considerations. All recommended systems emphasize wheeled mobility to match Ireland's existing Piranha fleet and peacekeeping doctrine. Through life costs, spares, training, ammunition are minimized by choosing NATO standard calibers and suppliers with EU export track records. Political neutrality is preserved. Poland, Turkey, NATO member, Sweden/UK, and US surplus channels are all viable alongside the French deal. Quantities could be scaled, e.g., hundreds of NLAW/Pyre Run rounds or dozens of Arma/Rosomak vehicles for far less than equivalent Javelin/Stinger or additional French platforms, freeing budget for helicopters or maritime assets also identified in the National Development Plan. In summary, Ireland can expand capability responsibly and cost-effectively by supplementing the French core procurement with targeted low-unit cost additions from Poland, Turkey, and surplus channels. This approach maximizes numbers in uniform while delivering good enough, and in many cases, excellent, performance against contemporary threats. Alright boys, thank you for watching. I really appreciate your support. Don't forget to smash the like button, type us a comment down below, or just what you thought about the show, okay? You've been watching Everything Weapons, your go-to place for the best weapons and military talk. Also, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss a video I post in the future. And check out my other content on the channel. Tons of entertaining content. This is just what I radiate. Okay, appreciate it guys. Take care.